Good evening, this is STV News. Mr. Abie received from the hotel on suspicion that former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's supporters had covered part of the cost of the dinner held at the hotel in Tokyo on the eve of the Sakura wo Mirukai. It was revealed on the 25th that he was suspected of discarding the receipt. It was also found that the receipt was addressed to Mr. Abe's fund management organization, Shinwakai. The dinner party was held every year from 2013 to last year, but the published Shinwakai Political Fund Balance Report does not mention the balance, and the Tokyo District Public Prosecutor's Office violates the Political Fund Control Act. They are carefully investigating whether this is the case. According to people familiar with the matter, the hotel presented Mr. Abie with a document stating the total cost and when he received the membership fee of the participants from Mr. Abie. He charged the shortfall. Upon receiving payment from Mr. Abie, a receipt was issued to Shinwakai. However, there are no receipts left after 2015, and it is suspected that they have been discarded. On the 26th, the House of Representatives Constitutional Review Board asked the first question about a bill to amend the referendum law to improve the convenience of the referendum on constitutional amendment. Substantial deliberation started more than 2 years after submission. However, the end of the current Diet session is approaching the 5th of next month, and the establishment is expected to be postponed after the ordinary Diet session. The main pillars of the amendment are 1. Establishment of a common polling place at stations and commercial facilities. 2. Flexibility in voting time for early voting and acceptance of accompanying polling stations under the age of 18. After the joint submission by the ruling party and the Nippon Ishin no Kain June 2018, the purpose was explained in July of the same year, but due to the cautious stance of the opposition party, it was treated as a continuous deliberation. At the intensive deliberation of the Budget Committee of both Houses of Representatives on the 25th, the opposition party decided that the National Tourism Support Project GOTO Travel had caused a rapid spread of new coronavirus infection and pursued Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga. However, the Prime Minister, who was the flag bearer of the campaign, remained bullish on the continuation, and the debate followed parallel lines. There is no evidence that travel is the main cause. The Prime Minister argued with Toru Miyamoto of the Communist Party, who said that the House of Representatives Budget Committee, is there any reflection that spread the infection without reviewing the GOTO business? The series of campaign claimed to be not directly linked to the spread of the infection. Yukio Edano, the representatives of the Constitutional Democratic Party, also criticized the government's response to travel business, saying, "I'm not sure if I'm stepping on the brakes or not," and regards the drastic review. On the other hand, the Prime Minister said that the number of confirmed infection related to a total of 40 million travel business users was only 180. By the 26th, the Japan Medical Labor Union Federation, which has about 170,000 people working in hospitals and clinics, will have more than 40% of medical institutions with nurses due to the spread of the new coronavirus infection. The result of a survey that the year-end bonus will reduce from last winter were announced. According to Zenroren, more than 30% of medical institutions have reduced their bonuses this summer, and Susumu Morita, General Secretary of the Zenroren, said the situation is clearly worsening. The main reason is that patients who are afraid of being infected with the new corona continue to avoid going to hospital or hospitalization. In November, the Medical Labor Union requested the labor unions of each medical institution to cooperate in the survey. By the 25th, we received replies from 298 unions. As the infection of the new coronavirus spreads, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government has forgotten requests to shorten business hours to restaurants. However, on the 24th, after the 3 consecutive holidays, the number of seriously ill people increased rapidly, and the implementation was started. At the other land, Governor Yuriko Koike pointed out that the government should make a decision regarding the response of the government's tourism support project, GOTO Travel. She showed an attitude of not making a request to exclude Tokyo. I would like to take all measures with determination of short-term concentration of infection countermeasures. Ms. Koike expressed strong concern about the spread of the infection at an extraordinary press conference on the 25th. A research team led by Associate Professor Ryusuke Ikeguchi of Kyoto University Hospital has started a clinical trial to generate nerves using a bio 3D printer that artificially creates tissue from the cells. They are recruiting patients with hand nerve defects from the 25th, transplant a tubular nerve conduit made with a 3D printer and check the safety. In the clinical trial, they recruited 3 patients who lost nerves such as fingers in an accident within 6 months. Cells collected from the skin are cultivated to form a mass, which is then stuck in a tube shape with a 3D printer to create a neural conduit. The Liberal Democratic Party will compile a proposal on the ideal state of the Science Council of Japan in the first half of December and submit it to the government. Former Minister of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology, Ryo Shionoya, chairman of the party's project team, told reporters on the 25th, the proposal is expected to include content that calls for the reforms in the status of members of the Science Council, who are positioned as national civil servants in special positions. Although the Science Council is under the jurisdiction of the Cabinet Office, the recommendations show measures to achieve independence of the organization while receiving a certain amount of government funding, referring to the fact that similar organizations in other countries are often private organizations independent of the government prospect. The yen exchange rate on the Tokyo Foreign Exchange Market on the 26th was 104.40 to 40 yen per dollar as of 9 a.m., which was 0.7 yen higher and the dollar weaker than the previous day, 104.47 to 47 yen. KIRIN Holdings Company Limited announced on the 26th that it will sell its Australian beverage business to local dairy giant Bega Cheese. The transfer amount is $560 million, or about 40.9 billion yen. It was decided to sell it to a Chinese company, but it was withdrawn due to deterioration of relations between Australia and China, and it was looking for a new seller. All shares of Lion Dairy and Drinks, which handles dairy products under the umbrella of Kirin's Oceania Regional Headquarters, will be sold by March next year. It was acquired for about 294 billion yen in 2007, but low profits continued, and the cheese business was sold to a major Canadian dairy company in October 2019. The company decided to sell the remaining business to Mengniu Dairy in China for about 45 billion yen, but gave up because it was not expected to be approved by the Australian Foreign Investment Review Board, which decides whether or not to invest in foreign capital. Kirin will focus on growth fields such as craft beer in its Australian business. The first auction of this year's Niigata PEAR LECTEIR was held at the Niigata City's Central Wholesale Market, and sales were lifted LECTEIR is a pear native to France and is characterized by its mellow aroma and rich sweetness. JA Group Niigata has set a sales ban date for the purpose of shipping high-quality LECTEIR, and the peak of shipping will be reached in early December. The shipment volume this year is expected to be 1,000 tons, which is about the same as last year. However, according to JA Group Niigata, the fruits and flesh are in good condition because they were blessed with good weather and moderate rainfall during the growing season and were not damaged by typhoons or fruit drops. The Japan Creative Center, the cultural center of the Embassy of Japan in Singapore, will hold the Japanese Film Festival from December 10 to 20th. Due to the spread of the new coronavirus infection in 2020, the event was postponed from the originally scheduled February. The film festival is co-sponsored by the Singapore Film Association. A total of 28 works, from large works to short stories, will be released. In addition to screenings at theaters, some works can also be viewed online. In addition, a questions and answer project will be held online, inviting the directors of 6 films. If giant pitcher Tomoyuki Sugano, 31, wants to challenge the U.S. Major League Baseball using the posting system, the team will accept it on the 26th. A team executive said, "I'm really confused. It may be a social environment where I can perform well. It seems that the effects of the new coronavirus, which spread the infection, are also being considered." Sugano has won 13 consecutive wins this season, 14 wins and 2 losses in 20 games, and an ERA of 1.97. He won the title with the most wins for the 3rd time and contributed to the league championship in a row. In Japan series with SoftBank, he started in the first game and suffered a black star with 4 goals in the 6th inning. And that's all for today. See you tomorrow for another news update.